Tonight, we begin a journey beneath the moonlight. Our first tale is The Ghost Wife. Long ago, in a quiet corner of ancient China, there lived a young scholar named Liang. He lived alone in a small wooden house. The wind slipped through the cracks. He had no family, no wife, no land, only books. Stacks of old books tied with faded silk ribbons, and one oil lamp. Every night he lit the lamp and studied. The flame was small, but steady, much like him. Autumn came slowly. One evening, Liang walked home from a distant town, carrying a rare book. The moon hung thin, like a silver thread across the dark sky. The road was quiet. Only his footsteps pressed gently into the earth. And then he noticed a light. Not bright, not sharp, but soft, a warm glow beside the road. He slowed. The light did not move. As he drew closer, he saw her, a woman in white, her hair long and dark, falling like ink in water. Her face was pale, yet softly luminous in the moonlight. Liang bowed politely. "Miss, are you traveling alone?" he asked. "My home is gone. I have nowhere to return," she said, her voice soft as the wind. The night air grew colder. Liang hesitated, then spoke gently. "My house is small, but if you do not mind simplicity, you may rest there tonight." She looked at him, then nodded. They walked together. The grass whispered. The wind sighed. Liang noticed something strange. Her footsteps made no sound. When they reached the house, he opened the wooden door. The oil lamp flickered as she stepped inside. He poured tea. She held the cup but did not drink. "You are kind," she said softly. "No one has spoken to me kindly for a very long time." Her eyes moved toward his books. "You study every night?" "That is all I have," he said faintly. The room felt warmer, yet the air near her felt cool. That night, he gave her the inner room. He lay near the door. After a long silence, she whispered, "Do you feel lonely?" "Yes," he whispered, "every day." "You are not lonely tonight," she said. And somehow, he believed her. The next morning, Liang awoke to a quiet house. Moonlight slipped through the window. May was in the courtyard, standing still, watching the fading moon. He prepared tea. She did not speak. She only watched, calm, patient. Days passed quietly. Liang studied. His brush moved across paper. Ink flowed deliberately. May stayed nearby. She tidied the house, arranged flowers, folded clothes. Liang noticed the small things, how she paused at the window, how her hair caught the light, how she listened even when he spoke to no one. At night, he read aloud. Stories, poems, lessons. Her eyes followed the words. Sometimes he forgot she was there, and then her soft sigh reminded him. "You read well," she whispered once. "Thank you," he said softly. "You hear my words, even in the silence." Weeks passed. The house no longer felt empty. Liang waited for her. She waited for him. One evening, as rain tapped on the roof, he set up 2 mats near the lamp. "Do you sleep at all?" he asked. "No," she said, "not as you do." The nights became a quiet rhythm. He read, she listened. He wrote, she watched. The wind, the rain, the creak of old wood, all part of their shared silence. Slowly, Liang began to trust her. Not as a ghost, not as a stranger, but as a companion. The night deepened around Liang's small wooden house. The wind slipped softly through the cracks in the walls, carrying the scent of damp earth and distant pine. Inside, the candle burned low. She stood near the window, pale in the moonlight, her figure almost translucent against the silver glow. Liang did not speak at first. He simply watched her, as though afraid that even a whisper might cause her to disappear. "You are not afraid?" she asked quietly. Her voice was gentle, yet it carried a faint echo, like sound traveling across still water. Liang lowered his gaze for a moment. "I was," he admitted softly, "but not now." A silence followed, not heavy, not tense, only thoughtful. Outside, the branches brushed lightly against the roof. "I should not have come," she said after a while. "My presence brings misfortune. I do not belong among the living." Liang stepped closer, slowly, giving her space as one would approach a shy bird. "You came because you were alone," he said. Her eyes lifted to meet his. There was surprise in them, and something else. Relief. "I have wandered for many years," she whispered, "bound to this world by longing, by unfinished thoughts." The candle flickered. "When I first saw your lamp burning late into the night," she continued, "I felt warmth. It has been so long since I felt warmth." Liang's chest tightened, but not from fear, from understanding. He lived alone. He studied alone. He ate simple meals in silence. Loneliness had become a quiet companion. "You may stay," he said gently, "as long as you wish." Her form shimmered faintly, as if stirred by an unseen current. "You do not understand," she murmured. "If I remain too long, your life will grow dim. The living and the dead do not share the same light." Liang looked at the small candle between them. "Then we will not let it dim," he replied softly. For the first time, she smiled. It was not a wide smile, not bright, but tender, almost human. The air inside the house felt different now, less cold, less hollow. She moved to sit across from him. Though she made no sound, the space around her shifted gently, like mist settling over water. "Tell me," she said, "what do the living dream of?" Liang thought carefully. "Of simple things," he answered. "Of spring after winter, of shared meals, of someone waiting at the door." She listened as though each word were a treasure. "And you?" she asked. He hesitated. "I dream of not being alone." The candle flame steadied. She reached toward it, her pale fingers hovering just above the light. The flame did not flicker away this time. It burned softly, steadily, as if accepting her presence. Outside, the moon climbed higher. Inside the small wooden house, two lonely souls sat facing one another, one bound to breath, the other bound to memory, sharing the fragile warmth of a single flame. The Taoist priest's words lingered in the air long after he had gone. "You are bound by yin," he had said. "If she remains, your life will fade." The house felt colder that evening. The oil lamp trembled. Liang sat quietly. May stood near the window, her figure faint against the moonlight. "So it is true," he whispered. She did not deny it. "I never wished to harm you," she said softly. "I only wished to feel human once more." Liang's breath was unsteady. "Was it all illusion?" he asked. Her eyes lifted to his. "No," she answered. "Not the kindness, not the warmth, not the loneliness we shared." Silence settled between them, not empty, but heavy with choice. "If you stay," he said slowly, "I may not live long." "And if I leave," she replied, "I return to endless wandering." The lamp flickered. Liang closed his eyes for a moment. When he opened them, they were calm. "Then you must go," he said gently. "Not because I fear death, but because I wish you peace." Her form shimmered, fragile as mist. "You gave me something I had forgotten," she whispered. "Companionship, warmth, a name spoken kindly." She stepped closer. Her cold hand touched his cheek, lighter than breath. "Thank you, Liang." The wind moved through the cracks in the wall. The flame bent low, and slowly, gently, her figure dissolved into silver light. Not torn away, not forced, simply released. The house grew still. Liang remained seated long after the light faded. He did not weep loudly. He did not call her name. He simply sat, listening to the quiet. When morning came, sunlight entered the room. The air felt different, lighter. He rose slowly. He lit the oil lamp again. That night he read aloud, not because she was there, but because she had once listened. Years passed. Liang grew older. The small wooden house remained simple, but it was never empty again. On his final evening, beneath a thin silver moon, he whispered softly, "I was not lonely." And somewhere beyond the reach of wind and shadow, a wandering spirit finally found rest.
As the first story fades, let us drift gently onward to another quiet place where soft light moves upon the river.
Along that quiet river, where reeds bend gently in the night wind, there stood a small village few travelers had ever found. It rested between low rolling hills, where mist lingered in the mornings, and the air always carried the scent of water. A narrow river curved gently around the village, like a silver ribbon laid upon the earth. By day, the river was simple. Children washed vegetables along its banks. Women rinsed cloth in its current. Old men sat nearby, watching the sunlight ripple across its surface. But at night, the river changed. When the moon rose and the world grew still, the water reflected the sky so clearly it seemed as though the stars had fallen and were drifting slowly downstream. And on certain nights, a lantern appeared. It did not belong to any fisherman, nor any traveler. It simply emerged, floating gently upon the surface, moving against the current, as if guided by an unseen hand. The villagers whispered about it. Some said it was the spirit of a bride who had drowned on her wedding day. Others believed it was the soul of someone who had waited too long for a loved one who never returned. No one agreed on the story, but everyone agreed on one thing. When the lantern appeared, it was best to close your doors and not look outside. Everyone except Wei. Wei was not like the others. He was a scholar, though not yet successful. He had failed the imperial examination twice and carried the quiet disappointment like a stone in his chest. He lived alone in a small wooden house near the bend of the river. His days were filled with books. His nights were filled with thought. Often, he would sit by the water, holding his own small lantern, watching the moon tremble in the current. He told himself he preferred solitude, but sometimes, when the night grew very still, he felt the weight of silence pressing against him. It was on such a night that he first saw it clearly. A glow, soft, golden, moving slowly across the dark surface of the river. Wei did not look away. He stood and watched. The lantern drifted, not hurried, not flickering wildly, but steady, almost patient. A strange calm washed over him. Not fear, not excitement, just curiosity. And something else, something like recognition. Without fully deciding to, Wei picked up his lantern and began to follow the riverbank. Wei walked slowly, keeping a careful distance from the water. The grass along the riverbank brushed softly against his robes, whispering as he passed. The night felt different, thicker somehow, as though the air itself were listening. The lantern ahead drifted smoothly, its reflection stretching long across the dark water. Wei noticed something unusual. The current of the river flowed east, yet the lantern moved west, against the current, without effort. He stopped walking. The lantern stopped as well. A quiet stillness settled between them, like two strangers acknowledging each other without words. Then slowly, very slowly, the lantern turned and drifted toward the center of the river. That was when he saw her. At first, she seemed only part of the mist, a pale shape standing within a small wooden boat. The boat made no sound, no ripple. It glided as gently as breath upon glass. The woman wore flowing white robes, simple, unadorned. Her long dark hair fell loosely over her shoulders. Her face was calm, not sorrowful, not frightening, but distant, as though she stood between two worlds and belonged fully to neither. Wei felt his heart beat once, hard, then steady again. He did not step back. He did not call out. Instead, he bowed his head slightly. The woman lifted her eyes to him. They were not hollow, not empty. They were clear and filled with something deeply human, loneliness. The lantern rose slightly higher, illuminating her face in soft gold. Wei found himself speaking, though he had not planned to. "Are you searching for someone?" His voice was quiet, carried gently across the water. The woman did not answer immediately. Instead, she extended one pale hand and pointed toward the opposite shore. Wei looked across the river. The far bank was shadowed, lined with tall reeds that swayed faintly in the night breeze. There was nothing there. No house, no dock, no path. And yet, he understood.
she wished to cross. The sensible part of his mind warned him. The villagers' whispers returned. Spirits, restless souls, unfinished stories. But another feeling, stronger and quieter, rose within him.
The next evening, Wei returned to the river. The sky had grown darker than before, heavy with drifting clouds that moved slowly across the moon, like pale silk sliding over silver. He stood at the water's edge, his small lantern held lightly in his hands. The river was still, too still. Even the insects seemed to pause their nightly songs, as though the air itself was listening. Then, far out on the dark water, a faint glow appeared, soft, golden, floating. The lantern. It moved toward him without sound, its reflection stretching long across the rippled surface. Behind it, a small boat appeared, sliding gently along the water. She was there again, standing at the bow, her white robes brushing lightly against the mist. Her face, calm as before, held a new expression. Not only sadness, but something urgent, almost pleading. "You came," she whispered, her voice drifting across the water, barely more than a sigh in the wind. "I told you I would," Wei replied, his voice steady yet soft. The boat touched the shore. He stepped in without hesitation this time. The river carried them away, deeper into the mist, as the lantern floated beside them, steady, like a quiet star that refused to leave. For a long while, neither spoke, only the gentle lap of water against wood, the soft creak of the boat, and the faint sigh of wind through the reeds. Then she turned toward him. "There is something you must understand," she said, her fingers resting lightly on the edge of the boat. "I do not belong to the living world." Wei's heart tightened, slow and heavy, but he did not step back. "I know," he said softly. She looked at him, truly looked, as if seeing him for the first time. "Most men," she whispered, "would have run." "I am not most men," he answered. The river breeze lifted her hair. For a moment, she seemed almost human, almost warm. "I was once the daughter of a river merchant," she continued slowly. "I loved the sound of water, the shimmer of lanterns across the river during festivals. One winter night, the river froze too thin. My boat did not return. The lantern beside them flickered, casting golden light across the dark water. Wei felt a cold shiver run through him. "And now?" he asked quietly. "Now, I remain between shores," she said, "neither fully gone nor fully here." The boat drifted past a cluster of reeds. In the distance, the faint outline of old wooden posts rose from the water. remnants of a forgotten dock. "This is where I wait," she whispered. "For what?" he asked. She did not answer immediately. Instead, her hand rose toward the lantern. Her fingers passed through the flame, and yet it did not burn her. "I wait," she said finally, "for someone who does not fear me." Wei's breath left him slowly. The mist thickened. The distant shore disappeared completely. There was only water, lantern light, and her pale face. "You should not stay long," she murmured, almost as if speaking to herself. Yet he felt the weight of her words, the caution lingering in the stillness. The night seemed to stretch endlessly. Every shadow, every flicker of the lantern, every ripple of the river felt amplified. Time slowed. Moments extended like the soft stretch of fog over the water. Wei followed her gaze toward the horizon, where the river twisted and shimmered beneath the moon. He could feel the river's pulse, slow, deliberate, patient. And the lantern drifted steadily before them, a gentle guide through the quiet darkness, carrying a light that seemed older than the night itself. Its glow wrapped around the mist, illuminating the edges of her robes and tracing her outline with soft gold. Wei understood, though he did not speak. This was not a river of the living, not a path for ordinary men. It was a river of waiting, of crossing, of endings and beginnings intertwined. And he would follow, carefully, quietly, respectfully. Each step, each breath, each beat of his heart became part of the rhythm of the river, part of the slow unfolding of the night. They floated on, the lantern between them, steady, gentle, guiding them through the quiet water, carrying with it something unspoken but profoundly real. Trust, patience, and the quiet courage to witness what must come. The river glowed like silver silk beneath the moon. The mist swirled around the boat, thickening as they drifted further from the shore. She stood before him, half light, half mist. "If I cross," she whispered, "you must let me go." Wei's heart felt heavy, not with fear, but with knowing. He looked at her, the softness of her pale face, the quiet sorrow that had kept her here for so many years. The river called, low, ancient, patient. "You were never meant to remain," he said softly. His voice did not shake. "You waited because you were lonely." She watched him carefully. "Yes, and I came," he continued, "because I was lonely too." The lantern floated between them, its golden light warmer than before.
But loneliness, he said, is not a reason to bind a soul. The barrier of mist ahead shimmered faintly, thin as breath on glass. The glow deepened. The current tugged at the boat. The river moved with quiet insistence, pulling them toward the center. She stepped closer. Her feet made no sound. "I have lingered," she said gently, "because I was afraid. Afraid of forgetting. Afraid of being forgotten." The boat trembled as the barrier drew near, something shimmering across the surface like a thin curtain of light. "This is the night," she whispered. The lantern rose into the air, lifting without a hand to hold it. Its glow spread outward, soft and steady, illuminating the river as if it had always been waiting for this moment. Wei reached for her hand. Fingers met faintly, almost real, almost warm. He held her gently, feeling the weight of the moment, the quiet significance of letting go. The river opened. The silver curtain of mist parted silently, inviting. She reached for him. This time, her fingers felt real. He held her hand one last time, then slowly, carefully, he released it. She drifted backward, carried by light, not pulled, not forced, simply lifted. Her form became mist, then light, then nothing. The barrier closed. The river calmed. The lantern fell gently back onto the water, floating quietly, peacefully. The boat drifted toward the shore. Wei stepped out alone. The night was still. The willow trees no longer trembled. The water returned to its gentle rhythm. The lantern followed him to the edge, dimmed, and went dark. He stood for a long time, not weeping, not empty, simply quiet. The next evening, he returned to the river. No lantern appeared. No mist thickened. No boat emerged. Only moonlight on calm water. Only the memory of light, gentle and golden, lingering like a soft whisper of the night. The night lingers, and time seems to slow. We continue our journey into a place where memories rest gently. The Time Garden. The night did not end when she disappeared. It simply grew quieter. The moon remained in the sky, watching over empty paths and silent rooftops. And somewhere beyond the memory of footsteps and fading whispers, another stillness waited. Time, too, carries its own mysteries. Some moments pass like shadows, some remain like echoes, and some bloom quietly long after they are gone.
If one continues walking beneath the patient moon, there may come a place where memories rest gently. A place where nothing is chased, nothing is held too tightly, only witnessed and released. There is a garden that appears only when the moon is full. Not every full moon, only the quietest ones. The kind of night when the sky feels endless and the world forgets to hurry. No map can guide you there. No signpost points the way. The garden reveals itself only to those who walk without urgency and carry questions too soft to speak aloud. On one such silver night, a traveler wandered along an old stone path. The stones were cool beneath steady footsteps. The air held the faint scent of earth after dusk. Crickets sang somewhere in the distance, their rhythm slow and untroubled. The traveler did not know where the path would lead, but sometimes not knowing is its own kind of comfort. Step by step, breath by breath, the traveler moved forward. The trees gradually thinned, moonlight widened, and there, resting in a clearing of silver light, stood a garden. It did not glow brightly. It did not shimmer dramatically. It simply existed, softly luminous, as if it had always been waiting. An iron gate stood at its entrance, open. It had always been open. The traveler stepped inside, and time shifted. Not suddenly, not in a way that startled, but gently, like a clock that had grown tired of ticking. Inside the garden, seasons rested together. Cherry blossoms drifted lazily through the air, though it was not spring. Golden leaves touched the ground without sound. White frost traced the edges of petals that never wilted. Here, nothing rushed toward tomorrow. Everything simply was. A narrow path curved through the center, bordered by pale blue flowers that glowed faintly beneath the moon. As the traveler walked, something curious began to happen. The air felt heavier with memory. Not painful memory, not sharp or urgent, but soft recollections, like pages turning quietly in a distant room. A pond appeared ahead, round and still. Its surface reflected the moon. But as the traveler leaned closer, the reflection changed. The water showed a different sky, a different season, a younger face. Laughter carried by warm sunlight, a hand reaching out. A moment once ordinary, now precious. The traveler watched without reaching. The memory moved like mist over water. Then, slowly, it faded. No ache followed, only a quiet understanding. Memories here were not meant to be held. They were meant to be witnessed and allowed to rest. Further along stood a tree unlike any other. Its branches stretched wide, and from each branch hung small, golden clocks. Some ticked softly, some barely moved, some had stopped entirely. Beneath the tree sat an old gardener. The gardener's robes were simple, their movements unhurried. They trimmed silver blossoms that shimmered gently in lantern light. "You have come," the gardener said, voice as soft as wind through leaves. "What is this place?" the traveler asked. The gardener smiled. "This is the time garden," they replied, "a place where finished moments come to bloom." "Why do they bloom?" the traveler asked. "So they may become lighter," said the gardener, "so they no longer weigh upon the heart." The gardener lifted a small lantern and placed it into the traveler's hands. Its flame was steady and warm. "Walk," the gardener whispered. "The garden will show you what you are ready to release." The traveler continued onward. The lantern cast a gentle circle of light, illuminating flowers that swayed without wind. Inside each flower shimmered a small scene, a farewell once left unfinished, a word never spoken, a kindness given quietly, a mistake carried too long. The traveler knelt beside one bloom. Inside its petals appeared a moment of regret. Once it had felt heavy, but here it felt distant, softened by time. The traveler understood. It was not the memory itself that caused pain. It was the holding. And in this garden, nothing was held too tightly. The path curved toward a willow tree, its branches draped low, silver in moonlight. An empty bench waited beneath it. The traveler sat. For a long while, there was only stillness. Stillness is not emptiness. It is space. Space for breath. Space for acceptance. The lantern flickered once. Beside the traveler appeared a faint shape, formed of pale light. Someone once loved. No words were exchanged. None were needed. They sat together beneath the willow, watching petals drift slowly downward. The traveler felt warmth rise gently within. Not sorrow, not longing, just gratitude. After a time, the figure smiled, and like morning mist touched by sunlight, it faded. The lantern's flame steadied. The night felt peaceful. The traveler remained seated for several breaths. Inhale slowly. Exhale gently. When the traveler finally stood, something had changed. The air felt clearer. The heart felt spacious. The path now led back toward the gate. The gardener waited, hands folded calmly. "Did the garden show you what you needed?" they asked. The traveler nodded. "I remembered," they said softly, "and I released." The gardener's eyes reflected the moonlight. "That is enough." The traveler continued walking beneath the moonlit sky. The night air felt spacious. Memories no longer clung like shadows. They rested gently where they belonged. Ahead, the path followed the quiet sound of flowing water. A river shimmered in the distance.
Mist drifted low across its surface. Small lanterns floated slowly downstream, each carrying a soft, golden glow. The traveler paused at the riverbank, watched, breathed, and felt ready to let the light carry what remained. Finally, the traveler turned, inhaled deeply, and whispered thanks to the quiet, patient garden. The lantern's glow steadied. The night felt peaceful, and a soft understanding settled into the heart. That letting go can be gentle, and memories, once released, may bloom softly elsewhere. And so, the story comes to an end. In the quiet of the night, some spirits fade away, and some memories linger, like soft moonlight on still water. Let your mind drift gently into rest, floating along the paths of the garden, through whispering leaves and silver shadows. If you would like to hear more calm and mysterious stories, you may choose to subscribe or simply let the night carry you. Now, beneath the gentle glow of the lantern, close your eyes and let its soft light guide you into deep, peaceful sleep. Good night.